In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, hello and regards. This is Muhammad Suleiman Ahmadzai with another new session for you, my friends. Now, as you know, we have things like copy-paste codes. These are things we understand. Let's work through another example. For instance, let's go to the drive. Say, we have a folder here. I'm going to open this quick access again. Look, I wanted to open this again for the second time. It doesn't open. It goes to restore. So we're forced to. What should we do? We can do the work from here. If I want a separate document, it should open this for us again. Alright, try to. For example, let's say you want to transfer a file from here to there. Whether it's a photo or a folder, if we want to transfer this photo or folder. Here, if we want to copy and transfer it, we select this again. Why do we say copy? Its shortcut is Ctrl+C, then we come here and press paste or Ctrl+V, and it gets pasted. When we select this, a copy of our file comes here. They have no connection to each other at all. If you delete one, the other won't be deleted. If you delete this, the other stays. If you move the data, the changes in both are saved as two completely separate folders. As I mentioned before in the distribution, the difference between paste and paste shortcut is that when we copy and then paste, the system pastes it. But I was telling it no. For example, I wanted to transfer the original file itself here. I wanted to move it from one folder to the Documents folder. We could still do this. We select the file. Why do we do this? We cut it. After that, we come here. Here, we tell it to paste. Now, the original file is moved, or vice versa. From here, I say, let's get it again. Cut. Here, we come and tell it to paste. See what happens to the original file. It gets moved. That's why it has come down here. So, let me refresh. Again, it should go back to the place where it's supposed to be. Just look at where it is alphabetically. Then, there's another thing we have called paste shortcut. Paste shortcut is different from these two. Cut and paste. Cut actually transfers it. Copy just copies it over. But what is paste shortcut? For example, let's say this is a file. This is a picture. Copy this for us, but here, do a shortcut instead of a paste. We had said before that it should have a little arrow. Shortcut means it's a link to the original file. As long as the original file exists, this will work. If the original file is ever deleted, then this file won't work anymore. It gives a warning that if you delete it, the shortcut will also be deleted. If you restore it from the recycle bin, the file will come back again. It restores our deleted file. This is how you paste a shortcut. We have something called the copy path. Every picture has its own address. On our computer, whether it's a program, a file, or a folder, everything has its own address showing where it's saved. If you want to copy that address, you can select it and choose Copy Path, and then you can paste it anywhere you want and use it whenever you need. For example, we press Ctrl+V or click Paste. We say that this address is C drive, users, desktop, animal and pets, and our file name with the JPG extension, which is the file suffix. In the end, it copies the file's address, without actually copying the file itself. This process is called copy path. Try to repeat these tasks 2 or 3 times. Copy to, move to. For example, let me explain this. We select a file from inside this folder. We want to move it into my documents. If we want to transfer a copy of it, we choose Copy to Chosen Folder. We specify where we want it to go. For example, we select Documents and click OK. Now, since we had chosen copy, the original should stay here, but when we go to Documents, its copy appears there. But let's say we want to move it instead. Meaning, we want to move it like cut and paste. So what do we do next? We go back there again. We select it. This time, instead of saying copy to, we choose move to. Move to, choose folder. We tell it to move to Documents. We click OK. Now, it's no longer here. If we go to Documents, the file is there. Or, on the contrary, move it back from here to that same folder. So, we select Move to, choose folder. We say we have a folder on the desktop called Animal and Pets. Okay. Again, from now on, it works just like cut and paste. Another thing we have here is called delete, which I mentioned to you up here as well. Here again, there are 3 additional options. Regarding delete, for example, let's say you want to delete a photo to remove a photo. First, I mentioned its shortcut. Ctrl+D is its shortcut, or you can just press the delete button. And if you want it to be completely removed from the computer and not even go to the recycle bin, what do? We press Shift+Delete. Alright, let's make a selection. If I just press delete, it moves to the recycle bin. If we click yes, we can restore it from the recycle bin again. But if I choose this and press Shift plus Delete, it won't even go to the recycle bin at all. We can't bring it back from the recycle bin again if we choose this option. If this is checked, when I delete a file, it won't even ask any questions. It gets deleted directly. But if we leave it unchecked, every time we delete a file, it first asks for confirmation, like, are you sure you want to delete this file or not? That message will pop up for us again. We had already worked with this in Control Panel before, and whenever we wanted, we could delete any file. So again, you can reset and restore it. For example, we choose which one we want to restore. We need to know the exact address. Do you want the file that you deleted from Documents? We say no. The file we deleted from the folder, Animal and Pets from this folder. Now, if we want to restore this, well, the file we want can't be restored. The other one that we had deleted could be restored. We say we want to restore this one, because we can't see the file details with you, except for what we can. If we get the details, then we can. Well, again, the issue is that from the address I can't tell which one is from where and which one we want. We deleted 2 of them from the documents. One of them was from the folder I wanted. But if there are details, the good thing is that I can see the address here. I select it. Restore. Go into the recycle bin. These are the same lessons that we have studied now. File Explorer, wherever you open File Explorer, it does this job. Alright, I select it. I tell it to restore selected items. Don't bring all of them. Just this one. Now, when we go into the folder, that same picture should be restored again. You see, it's the same picture that we wanted. Alright, after deleting, we have the option to click on its name. You can also rename it. I said its shortcut is F2. We could have done this from here as well. Now we have New Folder. If we want to create a folder, we click on New Folder. We can do this from here, or use the shortcut Control plus Shift plus N. We also know how to do this from here. New items means the list. That is, the list we saw on the desktop. This list is for new items, and they create a simple new folder. They create a folder within a folder. We had worked with shortcuts before, and we had done these things as well. So, we can work with you from here too. They create a simple folder. They create a folder within a folder. Or they create a shortcut for them. Or a software. For instance, I brought in an Excel file. The point is, we want to create an Excel file. That is, we want to create a folder. The shortcut is Control plus Shift plus N. There's another thing we have called Easy Access Include in Library. First, we enable the library here. Right now, the library is off, so you and I go to View. We click here. We select Show Libraries. Try to remember, we have something called Library. There are several folders inside it, and we can put them together or add a folder to the library. We save it so it will always be there. We select our own folder. For example, let's say we have a folder on the desktop called Animal Pets. We select it with Save to Library. We come here. Why do I say Easy Access, Include in Library? Which library folder? Music, pictures, videos. Which folder do you want it to be saved in? If you don't want one of the folders, meaning if you don't want one of the existing folders and you want it to be separate on its own, create a folder and have it save inside that. Again, why do I say create new library? This way, it created a folder for itself, meaning it saved it inside again. If I hadn't selected, it would have been saved inside one of these. We can also change these if we want. We go to the report. For example, we select this one. Here, we go to Change Icon. First, let's see if we turn it off. Show Navigation Pane. I call this the Navigation Pane. Just show this item in the Navigation Pane. Or show it, but have its icon look like this. We click OK. Again, OK. So basically, the icon changed if we didn't want it to. We want to delete this. We right-click. Then we select Delete and Yes. Now again, go to the library and don't show the library itself. We turn it off. So we can add a folder to the library through the interface. For example, if we want to mark a folder from a drive as a drive, meaning the computer will recognize it as a drive. Again, we click OK. For example, we have the C drive marked as a drive. We have it. We can choose what drive this should be. We can select which letter, for example, for this drive. Then we select it. Which folder is it? We add a folder. In the Program section, we have Properties. For example, in Properties, we select a picture. We click on a file. Here, Properties gives us detailed information about it. For example, its format is JPG, and as soon as we click, it opens in Photos, but we can change that. We can say, don't open this in Photos. Whenever we click, it should open in Paint or in another program. We can also directly change it. The address also shows where this photo is located. It shows the size, how big it is, and how much space it takes up. It shows on which dates it was created. It gives us information. There's a section called Privacy. If we want, we can set this photo so that all the photos in this folder are there but hidden, so that no one can see what's inside here. Then we activate it. We confirm it, so this photo becomes hidden. To make it visible again, we'll go with you to that photo. We click on View. Hidden files will show up again, and if we want it to not be hidden anymore, so it doesn't stay in that state, we can change it back. So we go to Properties, or we uncheck this, and click OK. Now it won't be hidden anymore. There was also another thing called Read Only that works in this context. For example, you have a file, a program, like C++ for instance. Or for example, this is a Word file. If we open this file now, since it's not read-only yet, anyone can make changes, but if I right-click and go to Properties, let's open Properties from here. We can open this same Properties. We right-click and open Properties from here. What's the shortcut? Alt plus Enter. It's easier. Alt plus Enter. When we press Alt, we click OK. What is the benefit when our file becomes read-only? When you open your file, or any file, it will be written up here. Read-only means you can only read this file. Any changes I make to this file will be saved as a copy of the file. No changes are made to the original file at all. For example, here I say, I'm going to add this. We say, save it. When I go to save it, this file will be saved as a separate file. It has absolutely nothing to do with the original file. Try to open the original file. The original file doesn't undergo any changes at all, because this file was read-only. Whereas if I made changes to that file and didn't bother, it would have been saved as a separate file. But someone might tell you that the changes are made to this very file itself, not to a copy of it, so in that case, the file shouldn't be read-only. Now, if I do this, I can tell it to apply the changes directly to this file. It tells us to save this. When we save it now, it doesn't get saved to a different file, it gets saved in this very file. Now, whenever I go to open it again, the changes appear in the file itself. I got this file separately. So, you can set your important files to read-only, kind of like how PDFs work, more or less. Okay, after Properties, inside Properties, there's something else too. Try pressing Alt plus Enter when you go to Properties. It opens it more easily. There's a security section where you can select certain files. For example, you can specify which actions a particular user is allowed to perform on these files. There's also a section, I read it as Network Brittle, where you can apply policies to users. For example, you can set a policy so that when a certain user logs into the computer, they can only read these photos or files, but can't delete or copy them. In the Properties section, we have something else as well. Details, which provide information about the file, and here there are two types of information. Some of the information comes from the system itself. It's unchangeable and fixed. Some information, though, we can add ourselves. For example, for a photo, how many pixels does it have? What is its DPI? When was it taken? For example, we can't change certain dates. But there is some information we can add. For instance, we can set a title for this photo. For example, we can give it a name as information. Or, for instance, what is the subject? Like, we can say, for example, dogs, and then give it 3 stars, like 3 stars. A comment can be added. You can write a personal opinion about the photo, some information, or a memory related to the photo, or the person who owns it, or the person who took the photo. For example, one of my friends, Assad, was the one who took this photo. We can also select a date, like on which date it was taken. For instance, this photo was taken. In short, we add extra information. So, when we check, there is additional information available about this photo. If we go to Properties, the extra information will be shown in the details. Sometimes in X, if we make changes, it shows the previous state of the photo here. If we've made changes, it will show the original state here. So, for example, if we change the color, the original version will be here. You can restore it and bring the photo back to its original state. And if we've added this detailed information and want to remove it later, here, with Remove Properties, it asks us whether you want to delete your information or copy it as a file or not. It deletes the information from it. We say, delete it from this photo itself. We don't want to copy its information. We can specify exactly which pieces of information to delete. Or we can say, delete only the information we added, not the information from the computer itself. When we do this, all the information will be deleted. Try to remove the details that were from your own PC. The things we had added ourselves will be gone. This is the job of Remove Properties. It opens this photo for us in the same section. In what should it open it? You click on Paint. It opens in Paint. Paint 3D is another program that edits photos in a more advanced way. Well, we also work with that one. Or, for example, this photo can be opened for us in programs like Photo Viewer, Snipping Tool, WhatsApp, or some other apps. We specify it. We set it. For example, you select a photo. You saw it opens in Paint, Microsoft Paint, so that later we can do editing in it and perform various tasks. We have a history, for example, on the computer. For instance, today we have a program that shows us the tasks we've done step by step. Another thing we have is called Select, if we want. To select all the photos we have on the page, what do we say? Select all. Its shortcut is Ctrl+A. And if we want to deselect after selecting, what do we say? What's the shortcut for deselect? We have Escape and Invert Selection. This does the opposite selection. For example, if we've selected these two rows, it will select the opposite area. When we say Invert Selection, it means select the ones that aren't currently selected, and remove the ones that are selected from the selection. When we say Invert Selection, try to make the selection the opposite. Every time we say Invert, the ones that weren't selected become selected, and the ones that were selected are deselect. This is called Invert Selection, and if we want, we can use this. Finally, dear friends, I ask you that if you found the videos useful, please like the videos to support us and help the channel grow. Subscribe to the channel, and see you in the next sessions. Goodbye. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this presentation.